Imagine waking up every morning feeling like you're stuck on repeat, living the same day over and over, replaying the same mistakes and wondering why things never seem to change. You try harder, push forward, but somehow you end up back where you started. The truth is, most people are trapped in invisible cycles, bad patterns of thought, behavior, and choice that quietly sabotage their success, happiness, and relationships. The book Break Free from Bad Patterns shines a light on these cycles and hands you the key to unlock them. And today, we're going to explore its ideas in depth, not just to understand why we fall into these patterns, but how we can finally escape them and live with purpose, freedom, and lasting progress. At the heart of the book is a simple truth. Human beings are creatures of habit. We tend to repeat what's familiar, even when it doesn't serve us. Think about someone who always chooses partners who treat them poorly, or someone who sabotages their own career whenever success is within reach. On the surface, these choices look irrational, but the brain is wired to seek comfort in the familiar. That familiarity, even when it hurts, feels safer than the unknown. To break free, the first step is awareness. You cannot change a pattern you cannot see. The book encourages you to slow down, observe your own behaviors, and ask, why do I keep repeating this? Why do I end up here every time? That moment of honesty opens the door to transformation. One of the most powerful examples the author shares is about financial cycles. Many people work hard, earn more money, and then overspend until they're back in debt. The problem isn't income. It's the unconscious belief that they don't deserve stability or wealth. This book argues that until you confront those deep-rooted beliefs, no amount of effort will stick. Instead, you'll unconsciously pull yourself back to where you started. That's why self-awareness is the cornerstone of lasting change. From there, the book moves into practical steps. The second principle is interrupting the cycle. The author suggests inserting a pause between trigger and response. Let's say you always reach for junk food when you're stressed. Instead of automatically grabbing chips, you pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what am I really feeling? What do I actually need right now? That small interruption creates a chance to choose differently. The key isn't to overhaul your life overnight, but to build tiny moments of choice that compound over time. The third principle is replacing bad patterns with empowering ones. Habits don't just disappear, they need to be replaced. If you stop watching TV late at night but don't replace it with reading, journaling, or rest, you'll slide back into old habits. The author emphasizes that positive routines, even if small, create momentum. For example, someone trying to break the pattern of procrastination might commit to just 5 minutes of focused work. That small act disrupts the cycle of avoidance and begins a new pattern of progress. Another critical insight is that patterns are often generational. Many of the cycles we're stuck in aren't even ours. They were handed down by parents, culture, or society. Maybe you grew up in a home where arguments were constant, and now you unconsciously seek conflict in your own relationships. Or maybe you were taught that money is scarce, so you play small even when opportunities arise. The book challenges readers to look back and ask, which of my patterns truly belong to me and which were inherited? This awareness is liberating because it reminds you that you're not doomed to repeat what came before. You can choose differently. Throughout the book, stories of transformation bring these ideas to life. One man kept sabotaging his business by taking on more than he could handle. Once he realized the root pattern, proving his worth through overwork, he learned to delegate, trust others, and focus on what mattered most. Another woman repeated the same painful relationship cycle until she confronted the belief that love required suffering. By rewriting that belief, she created space for healthy love to enter. These stories remind us that change isn't abstract. It's possible, and it's happening for people just like us. Now, here's where things get really practical. The author introduces what he calls pattern mapping. This is a simple but powerful tool. You write down the trigger, the behavior, and the outcome. For example, trigger, feeling lonely. Behavior, texting an ex. Outcome, more pain. By mapping it out, you can see the loop clearly. Once you see it, you can ask, what healthier behavior could I insert between trigger and outcome? Maybe instead of texting the ex, you call a friend, go for a walk, or work on a project. Each time you choose differently, you rewire the brain. Another strategy is creating an environment that supports new patterns. If you're trying to eat healthy, don't keep junk food in the house. If you're trying to focus, remove distractions from your workspace. The book reminds us that willpower is limited, but environment is powerful. By designing your surroundings to make good choices easier, you set yourself up for success. In the middle of the book, the author turns to the role of identity. Patterns stick because they're tied to how we see ourselves. If you believe I'm just not disciplined, you'll act accordingly. To break free, you have to shift identity. Instead of saying, I'm trying to quit smoking, you say, I'm not a smoker. Instead of saying, I'm trying to get fit, you say, I'm an athlete in training. The way you describe yourself reinforces your actions. The more you align identity with your desired future, the stronger your new patterns become. This is a perfect moment for me to pause and remind you. If you're finding value in this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to Audiobook Lounge. We share powerful book summaries and life-changing insights every single day, so if you want to stay inspired and keep growing, hit that subscribe button and join our community. There's a new video waiting for you here every day. Returning to the book, one of the most profound lessons is about forgiveness. Many bad patterns are fueled by unresolved pain. Maybe you drink too much because you're numbing past wounds. Maybe you lash out because you're carrying anger from years ago. Until you face and release that pain, you'll keep recycling it. The author encourages deep inner work, whether through journaling, therapy, or reflection, to forgive yourself and others. Forgiveness isn't about excusing the past. It's about freeing yourself from its grip. The book also explores the science of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. Every time you make a different choice, you carve a new neural pathway. At first, it feels hard because the old pathway is well worn. But with repetition, the new path becomes easier, more automatic. This means change isn't just possible, it's biological. You can literally rewire your brain to support the life you want. Practical frameworks are offered throughout. One is the 3 R's: recognize, replace, reinforce. First, recognize the bad pattern. Second, replace it with a healthier behavior. Third, reinforce it through repetition and reward. For example, if your pattern is scrolling endlessly on your phone before bed, you recognize it, replace it with reading, and reinforce it by celebrating the better sleep and focus you gain. Over time, this becomes your new normal. The book also talks about accountability. It's hard to change in isolation. Sharing your goals with a trusted friend, mentor, or community adds strength. When someone else knows your intentions, you're more likely to follow through. That's why the author encourages joining groups, masterminds, or even online communities where people are committed to growth. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift you makes breaking bad patterns easier. One of the most inspiring chapters is about momentum. Change doesn't happen overnight, but small victories build confidence. Maybe you managed to stop one negative thought midstream or resist one unhealthy choice. Each win builds belief in yourself. Over time, those small shifts add up to massive transformation. The book insists that progress is more important than perfection. Falling back occasionally doesn't mean failure. It just means you're human. The key is to get back up quickly and keep moving forward. Another key lesson is about replacing escape with engagement. Many bad patterns are forms of escape, escaping stress, fear, or emptiness. But the real antidote is engagement. Engaging deeply with meaningful work, relationships, and purpose. When your life is filled with things that light you up, the pull of old patterns weakens. You don't need to escape when you're already fulfilled. The author also introduces the concept of pattern stacking. Just like bad patterns can compound negatively, good patterns can compound positively. For instance, a morning routine of exercise, gratitude, and reading sets the tone for the day. Each good choice builds momentum for the next. Soon, your days are stacked with positive behaviors that crowd out the negative ones. As we approach the end of the book, the message becomes clear. Breaking free from bad patterns isn't about willpower alone. It's about awareness, choice, environment, identity, and support. It's about taking ownership of your story and realizing you're not stuck. You're just patterned. And patterns can change. The freedom you seek is on the other side of consistency and courage. So, what's the takeaway? You have the power to rewrite your life. Every cycle you've been trapped in, whether it's procrastination, toxic relationships, financial struggles, or self-doubt, can be broken. It won't happen all at once, but with awareness, small steps, and consistent reinforcement, you can step into a completely new chapter. The book ends with a vision of what's possible. A life where you're not held back by old loops, but propelled forward by intentional, empowering patterns. Now, I'll leave you with a simple but powerful question. What's one bad pattern you're ready to break starting today? Share your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and stories.